Hello and welcome to the morning after show. My name is Joshua Reimer. I'm joined by none other than Jared Block, who is on my right, and we are here to talk about everything that is going on in the sports world. Jared, last night was Monday Night Football. Mondays are always busy for us, but I know that Roto Radar Nation is celebrating a big win from the main man, Sean Pfeiffer.
Yeah, a couple big wins last night. I also
Yeah.
figured out when I was doing the notification for today that the one that you had sent out from yesterday afternoon was still a default for when we went live today. So everybody expected me to be super
Oh,
sassy. That is
yeah.
not the case right now because I'm pretty happy. I'm a pretty happy man.
There you go. So you're pretty happy. Glad to see we're not having the sass. I'm sure Goosty's disappointed because he said, I'm here for the sass. And Harp said that Green Bay fans are always sassy, but that's okay. We're here. We're ready to go. You're not going to get any sass from Jared today. You're going to get all smiles from the both of us because that's what happens when members are able to win some big money. I mean, we had one member who ended up taking down the monster yesterday with the pivot off of the premier lineup. You had a lot of members who ended up just absolutely smashing. I mean, people who played $5 single entries made $100. People who paid $25 single entries made $500. Like, it was that type of night for Roto Radar Nation. And I think Sean said it perfectly. This is why you signed up with him, to get days like last night. And yeah, everything worked out perfectly.
Yep. That's the true testament of staying the course. I know that it hasn't been a long course so far, but that's what happens in NBA. I mean, I think that you always take a little bit of time at the beginning of the season to get dialed in, and we're dialed in. Speaking of dialed in, I did pretty well on FanDuel last night too. So
Well,
pretty happy about how that game went. It was a gross game. We'll talk about it. The most interesting part of the night in itself was the Manning cast. If you didn't catch the Monday Night Football game, so that's how interesting the game was. And yeah, that same member that won 50K also took second place in the NFL Monster.
there you go. Look at him. Look at D Money, baby. He's eating right now. Eating good tonight. I hope he spends some on the family. But regardless, yeah, the game was ugly. This is one of the first Monday Night Football games that I didn't watch. So I'm excited to learn about it from you because as you know, work
Yeah,
stuff came up last night that prevented me from watching anything. But yeah, I'm excited to learn about it from you. I saw a few tidbits of the Manning cast, but nothing really substantial. But what I saw was hilarious, and I always get a good laugh out of it. Jaso says good morning. Good morning. Life of Goosey says happy J and J today. Yes, happy J and J. Bacon says good morning. Bacon says he's out if you're not sassy today, so we need a little bit of sass
oh,
from
we'll
you.
find ways. We'll find ways.
We'll find ways for sure. Hockey fan 26 says good morning. Good morning, man. All right, anything fun happen on your Monday? I know not a lot of fun things happen for us on Monday because we're usually so busy, but anything fun happen?
Yeah, like I said, I think that the Manning cast is probably the best thing to happen last night outside of the NBA win.
Yeah.
Bucks had a big dub. I don't know. We'll talk about all the other stuff because I know you're going to wait to segment into this, but it's a big day today. World Series. We'll talk about that too. But yeah, Monday was always the bit. Well, I don't know. Is it always the busiest day of the week? I feel like that or Friday, but
It's Friday now.
still
It
still
used to
busy.
be Mondays, but now it's very easily Fridays. Like Mondays used to be hell holes. Like it used to be absolutely awful to be in back to back to back meetings, but now we just have like podcast recording after podcast recording after podcast recording on Fridays. So both days are pretty bad, but Friday definitely takes the cake now.
Yep, I agree. It's not even close anymore.
It used to be, not anymore. All right, let's talk about some Monday Night Football before we do talk about the World Series, uh, and just talk about Week 7 interview as a whole because it still is Jason Garrett Tuesday as well. Got to talk about that Giants offense a little bit, but first, talk about Monday Night Football. I saw how ugly the score was. I saw at least that the Saints won 13-10. But the main thing that I saw when looking at this game this morning and catching myself up is that Alvin Kamara just looked so dominant with the ball for the whole entire game, it seemed like. So, talk a little bit about Alvin Kamara and how the Saints ended up winning this one.
Yep. So first of all, the over under the game total of this game locked at around 41, and the spread was around Saints. I think it closed out at Saints minus 4.5. Maybe it got to 5. It was a spot where I told people that I just didn't feel comfortable with the side or total anywhere in this game, and there's only one player prop that I even tried to hit. So with that being said, kind of saw I was thinking last night. I didn't think it was going to be 13-10, but I believe at halftime it was 10-7. So that's how impressive this game was. Jason Myers missed 2 field goals that were pretty easy, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, the game was as ugly as advertised. Alvin Kamara was like the lone bright star in the Saints offense, which makes sense. The weird thing is though, the Saints are starting to get a lot healthier, and we should see Michael Thomas back next week too. So it should be something that could take an upward trend here shortly. But the main thing for me, while he did get 20 rushing attempts, the big thing was that, and I think that Taysom Hill has a lot to do with this. So for those of you who have Alvin Kamara on your fantasy teams, thank Sean Payton for ruling Taysom Hill out with a concussion, because with him out of the game, Alvin Kamara got all of the goal line work and got 10 receptions for 128 yards in that touchdown. So I think that the way that they play their offensive scheme without Taysom Hill just features Kamara so much more. And that's like the first time all season, I think I can say confidently that he actually looked like his old self from previous years.
Yeah, I think that, it is kind of hard to I think it's kind of hard to rely on him when we know how much Sean Payton loves to use that trickery at the goal line with Hill. So like it's just tough, and it's good to see that he's kind of getting back to normal, even if it does mean that it has to be without Taysom Hill, right? Um, I don't know. I kind of what have I expected is like to see that one of these players broke out for New Orleans. Like the Seattle defense is not good, so I was expecting to see an Alvin Kamara breakout, maybe a Callaway breakout or something like that. But Kamara just clearly dominated the game. And yeah, I'm not surprised to see like Seattle stay close. We saw the same exact thing happen on Sunday Night Football last week with the Pittsburgh Steelers, is that they were
Yep.
just able to stay close and stay in the game for the whole time. So I think that's going to kind of be the MO of this Seattle Seahawks team, is that they're going to stay close and stay in the game. But I don't know how many games they actually win without Russell Wilson. Michael Thomas coming back next week, because I heard week 9. And so I'm curious just because I know I'm going to have to face Sean soon in the high stakes league. And I know he's going to be gloating about Michael Thomas being on his team.
Yeah, week 9 is next week, isn't it?
I think it is next week that I face him. So I'm really hoping you meant week 9 and
Yeah.
not week 8.
Oh, I think he's coming back. Well, I don't think that they. Yeah, I mean that's a good point. I think it might be week 9. I don't know if he's going to be even if he's back. I don't know how healthy he's actually going to be. We saw Trayvon Smith come back for the first time also, and he did actually look pretty. He played. He ran a lot of routes. He made a few mistakes though, which is something that kind of saw coming. But the Saints offense is getting a lot healthier. Saints defense is getting a lot healthier. This could be an interesting run for them when they as they move forward here. They're kind of in a weird spot where they're 4-2. It doesn't feel like they're 4-2, but they are. So I think that this team could represent something. Maybe I don't know. I think that we can rule them as contenders right now. I just don't think that it's anything more than that. Just playoff contenders, not actually Super Bowl contenders. So I think with the West kind of cannibalizing itself, we may see one team, whether that be from the NFC North or the South, sneak into the playoffs in that last wild card spot.
Yeah, and I think it'll be a real prove it time to see what this offense can do against the Bucks next week, because you have the ability to throw the ball with Jameis Winston, and he's going against his former team. Like this is a real benchmark to see where is this team. Even in a close loss, I feel like it's almost kind of a win because it's just staying close with that Bucks team. But again, like I said, next week is really a benchmark for this Saints team. I think having a good game against the Saints shows that you are a true playoff contender. Not to make a deep run necessarily, but just at least to show that you can make the playoffs. Grace to you said Bears better we beat 2 AFC teams record wise. J. Cruz says Bengals are
They,
double
they
digit
beat the
favorite.
number one seed. Yeah, the Bears beat the
Yeah.
number one seed in the AFC.
Yeah, good point. JQ said Bengals are a double-digit favorite on the road. What a time to be alive. I don't even know. Oh, Bengals face the Jets. Of course they are. Mitch White is going to start that game. I wouldn't expect anything different for the Bengals to be double-digit favorites on the road. All right. Anything else from the Monday Night Football game? If not, we have a few other games that we didn't get to touch on yesterday that we should touch on right now.
Yeah, two quick things. First thing was that the only bet that I had last night was a head-to-head of who was going to throw more passing yards between Jameis Winston and Geno Smith. So before I give you the results, I just want to say that the odds for Jameis Winston in that head-to-head were minus 135. So
Really?
initial reaction seems pretty low, right?
Yes, it's really low. I mean, comparing the two guys, I
Yeah.
definitely would have sided with the Jameis Winston side.
Yep. Jameis Winston threw for 222 yards, 35 pass attempts. Geno Smith, 22 pass attempts, 167 passing yards. So
There you go.
instead of betting a side or total, went to go with the player prop route, made more money that way. So
And
that's kind of what I see on some of these. And it's like you don't want to bet. It just seems everything just doesn't align right, and that's why you can take advantage of bet online player props.
yep, for sure, 100%. We talk about them every day, how much of an advantage you have if you do go bet on those player props, and you clearly took advantage of it last night. All right, any games that we missed yesterday? I guess we can start off with the Giants. Talk about this offense that didn't look half bad, right? Because I mean, it wasn't that difficult to not look half bad when you faced off against this Panthers team that didn't look like they knew how to spell the word defense. But Devontae Booker, I okay, so I guess this is the one thing I can rag on Jason Garrett for a little bit. I don't know how much of the Giants game you were watching, but there was a drive in the first quarter, and the announcers were like, "Oh my, this must be the best Giants drive we've ever seen. Like, this could be one of the most efficient offensive drives we've seen from this Giants team." And of course, it was on like a short field. It shouldn't have been called that, but it made me laugh because then they proceeded to go 4 and out at the goal line with 3 plays directly at the goal line. Just all three, Devontae Booker getting absolutely stuffed, or just terrible play calling. Like they were even talking about it on the broadcast how they had a Daniel Jones rollout, and all they had was one wide receiver option in the back of the end zone. They had no one underneath, and it was like, why would you call that play? Like it makes no sense to only have one wide receiver
Okay.
option for Daniel Jones as he's bootlegging. And it was a bad drive. I guess that's the only thing I can dog on him for, because I mean, when you win 25-3, there's not much else I can say.
Yeah, I believe that there was right after. So Devontae Booker, I saw that drive. He got stuffed like 3 times in a row at the goal line,
Yeah.
and then the very next, like after they turned the ball over, wasn't that when the safety happened? I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
Where Sam
Yeah.
Darnold threw it
So,
out the helmet of his O lineman. Because only in the NFL,
uh,
right?
that's up there with the butt fumble, man. That's up there.
Yeah.
Um, People actually aren't talking about that enough, which is kind of surprising. But that's what happens when your score at halftime is 5-3. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I just this Giants offense finds it, even if it's not the offense we're talking about, it's just the team that they're playing against or the team that the game where they're involved in. Always is comical. I just don't really have much to say other than like I guess Seven Ingram is sort of kind of back, but not really. I don't know. 6 for 44. Very interesting. The Dante Pettis got the touchdown for them as well. I don't know. They're hurt, and that's really all we can say
Uh,
about it. I don't
ugly
know,
team,
but
man. Ugly team.
25-3, dude. How do you, as the Carolina Panthers fan, how do you support going to 3 points and then not scoring the rest of the game? I just don't
Oh,
get it.
yeah. It's bad, man. It's bad, especially against that Giants defense, which is not a good defense. Like I don't believe in that Giants defense. Maybe you can say that Bradbury is a good part of that Giants defense, but like outside of that, and it was a Bradbury revenge game technically because he used to be on this Panthers team. Still, regardless, it was a bad showing in my opinion for that Panthers team. Yeah, I guess that's the other fun thing to talk about with this offense. Jake Hoos brought it up. Danny Dimes going OBJ mode and having that amazing catch. Did you see that Danny Dimes catch?
I did. I
Yeah,
did. That was like the one
insane.
highlight of the entire game.
It's the one like highlight that Danny Dimes is gonna have outside of like tripping on his run, his long run that he had last year. That catch was sick, man. Like I can fully get behind that catch. He really had that white boy athleticism and really reached up to get that thing. So proud of him for doing that. All right. Any other games that we need to talk about from week 7? I think we covered a lot of stuff yesterday, but like uh, yeah, I mean, I don't see any games that we might need to recover. Do you see anything that we need to talk about?
Just the fact, going back to the Panthers, that if you thought last week was bad for Robbie Anderson, he actually got less than a yard per target. Actually, no, it's like 1.12 or something like that.
There you
Nine
go.
targets, 3 receptions, 14 total receiving yards.
Just never.
I
Man,
just
I
no words
rostered
for Robbie
him.
Anderson right
I
now.
rostered him in 1 p.m. only, and it's fine because we won this week. But I was just like, come on, like, why did I fall for this trick? Like, this is an awful thing to fall for. Um, yeah, it was bad news. We did see some trade news come out of the NFL. It was kind of insignificant. Well, it wasn't insignificant because it involved Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco got
Yep,
traded to the Jets that way, so
yep.
they don't have to start Mitch White this week. Um, our AP says that we should cover some trade scenarios. So, any potential trades that you see, or any potential teams that you see that might be aggressive come the trade deadline?
So touching on the Joe Flacco thing, I actually don't mind that at all. He actually looked really, for those of you who remember last year, he looked pretty good as a Jets quarterback. Uh, I know it's not obviously the best thing ever, but I still think that he could actually give them a couple wins in upset scenarios. Because I mean, I don't know. I don't believe in that team at all, but I do believe in Flacco a little bit still. But
Yeah.
as far as the other trade rumors go, I've seen a lot of rumors about Brandon Cooks to the Packers.
Mm.
That's all it is, though. It's rumors, so I don't think that there's anything on that. Like, there's no actual steam on that. As far as the Deshaun Watson stuff, they covered it a lot on Monday Night Football. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Schefter is trying to do his best and try to figure out what to do with that, and he doesn't. He has no idea what's going to happen with that. So, Panthers are giving him a complete smokescreen, and Deshaun Watson doesn't want to play in Denver, and he doesn't want to play in Philly. So, kind of feels like he's going to just go to Miami and live his career out there.
It doesn't make sense to me why they trade him to Philly. Like, I cannot
He doesn't
physically
want to go.
under. Yeah, well, but like I don't understand why Philly even wants him. Like, this is something that I talked about a lot in the off season. Like, why would he go to Philly when, like, how can they not believe in Jalen Hurts? Like, I understand they're not exactly a winning team, but I wouldn't blame that on Jalen Hurts right now. I'd blame that on your defense not being great and your offensive weapons not being great either. Like, how do you not believe in Jalen Hurts? I don't know. I'm a big Jalen Hurts stan, even though I did end up trading him away in one of my dynasty leagues recently. I'm still a big Jalen Hurts stan, so like I don't know. Definitely interesting, and it's gonna be interesting to see where he goes, right? And it's gonna be more interesting to see if he gets traded this week or next week.
Yeah, no, I think he does. Well, Jalen, I don't think gets traded. I don't know.
No,
That's
no,
just
no.
me. But
I meant
oh,
Deshaun
Watson.
Watson. Sorry.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I still don't know. And people
No.
are saying like, "Oh, he's gonna move," blah 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 blah. I don't know. I just don't see him. And they also said yesterday on the broadcast that if he goes somewhere, you would expect him to start. And I'm here sitting over here like, oh boy, like whoever is drafting, like I don't know. Imagine all the teams that he was going to go to and how much drama there would be surrounding that. I think Miami probably fits the best there, just because. I mean, you do have Will Fuller on the team, even though he isn't playing.
Very
Uh,
well.
so I don't know. It's just a whole big mess, and I don't think we can even try to guess where he goes. But Goosey says, "Ah, Flacco, I remember that guy. Hey, he won you a Super Bowl, man. So
Yeah,
there you
you
go."
better put some respect on Joe Flacco's name. It's considering he won you a Super Bowl against my Niners. I'm not a Joe Flacco fan, never will be. All right, if there is nothing else for the NFL front, actually, let's cover this really quickly. Devonte Adams being out for this Thursday night game. That's a huge blow to you guys. That's
Yep.
really gonna suck. What are your thoughts on no Devonte Adams this week due to him being on the COVID list?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. He also, we're going to be without a lot of guys. So I just wish that, like, maybe we have this matchup again in the playoffs. That would be what I'm looking forward to. Right now, the Packers are 6 point underdogs. I'm not counting them out necessarily. I just feel like we're not really given a fair shot here. That's kind of what it comes down to. I don't know. I got to find the tweet. I'll find it here in a second. But they are down like 8 guys right now, and all 8 of them are like really, really important pieces to the team. So I'll find it, and while I try to look for it, you tell me what you feel like what's going to happen on Thursday, because this was supposed to be arguably, I don't know, top 5 regular season game if it all played out.
Yeah, I know we were talking about it, how it could potentially be like one of the best Thursday night football games, at least team wise, that we've seen. But like without Adams, I don't know how you guys do it now. I feel like it's going to be a little bit of a more difficult situation without your number one offensive weapon. But hey, maybe it's just a matter of the fact that it's time to bring out the Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon combo and just absolutely beat them into submission with your running backs. I feel like that is definitely a possible scenario. Or maybe, I mean, we saw Lazard targeted a ton in that one drive. Maybe
Yeah.
it's finally the Allen Lazard show.
Yeah, there's a possibility. I think that, I mean, both of them, both him and Cobb, and I think that Aaron Jones, and I don't know, we've seen a few things happen with Devontae Adams out. Fun fact, over the last 3 years, they are actually 6-0 when they're playing without Devontae Adams. Now, you can look back and say the teams that they were facing weren't as good because they weren't. But yeah, I think that, I don't know. They're definitely not in a good spot right now. And in addition to Adams, they also do not have their defensive coordinator, uh, Joe Joe Barry. So I don't know. I think that, like, not that that matters anyway because they weren't playing defense before. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. I found it. All right. So the Packers could be without all these players. They're not all ruled out yet, but it's kind of looking like that way. Devontae Adams, left tackle David Bakhtiari, cornerback Jair Alexander, outside linebackers Darius Smith. He's already out. Marquez Valdez Scantling still on IR. Preston Smith missed last week. Josh Myers missed last week. Kevin King.
Yeah, that's what, like the majority of your secondary right there. That's the
Yeah,
most that I heard. Is that
two
it's
best edge rushers, two best wide receivers, best offensive linemen, two offensive linemen, and three secondary pieces.
tough spot. Where does Bet Online have the odds for this game? I'm very curious now to
Yeah,
find out.
it's the over under is still 51, and the Packers are 6 point dogs.
Really? I would say, well, I don't know. 6 points is a lot of points for two such good teams, and I'm sure that Rodgers won't get like shut out here. I mean, Rodgers will get his. It's just to what effect his when he doesn't have Devontae Adams with him. Um,
Yep.
all right. Anything else on Bacon 23 said Arizona might put up 51 by themselves. Bold
Oof.
take there. Bold take. All right. Anything else from the NFL world? And if not, we're gonna move on. And I think we talk about MLB next, but we'll just have to see because no, we're not showing topics right now.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say on this Adams thing is that there's a very small chance. Now, he's already vaccinated, so if he tests negative today and tomorrow morning, he could fly with the team to Arizona on Wednesday. If he tests
Hmm.
negative on Wednesday and Thursday morning, he's going to take the private jet to Arizona.
There you go. Hopefully it happens, man. I'm hoping for you that it does happen because you guys you'll need him if you plan on
We
staying in
will
that
need him.
game.
Yep.
All right. It all comes down to this, Jared. Let's talk about the MLB and let's talk about the World Series, which is happening today. We get to find out who is going to be crowned the champ of the 2021 season, and it is between none other than the Atlanta Braves facing off against the Houston Astros. Astros come in today at minus 130 favorites with Framber Valdez on the mound. Atlanta Braves plus 120, plus 120 underdogs with Charlie Morton on the mound. This is gonna be a good one, man. This whole series, I feel like, is gonna be a good one. I feel like it goes seven. I feel like it's gonna be close all the way throughout, and it's gonna be a good one to watch. So we get to make some predictions. That's what I was told by our AP. We gotta choose who's gonna be the MVP of this thing, who's gonna end up being the winner, and yeah, give it to me. Who do you think wins this series? I know we're pretty close, and I feel like they are pretty. It's a pretty close matchup, but I know where I'm siding right now.
Yeah. So the numbers are telling me right now to take the Braves. The series price is at excuse me, one plus 115 right now as the series. Astros series price comes in at minus 135. Either way you go, you're going to be looking at some pretty good money no matter what side you bet it on. So I think that BetOnline thinks these two teams are very evenly matched. I agree with them. I also think that the Braves arguably are have impressed me a little bit more, I will say, over the past month or so. Because honestly, I don't think anybody was talking about the Braves in the later part of September at all. So I think that they are the more impressive team in terms of clutch hitting. The Astros have kind of just dominated their way through the ALCS. And there was a little bit of a scary stretch in there which I think will still come back to haunt them in some way. McCullum's injury also doesn't help them with that. So for me specifically, I think that I will side with the Braves money line for the series price, and I will even go as far as saying I think Charlie Morton balls out today, and you're going to see a home run from Ozzy Albies against Fromber hitting from the right side of the
Oh,
plate.
you love to see it. That's juicy. I like it. Yeah, I side with the Braves here, and I gotta. You didn't get to be in for this conversation, Jay, but I got a stern talking to from Sean saying, "Why do you not want the Astros to win?" And I was like, "Look, man, I just can't. I can't handle you gloating for a whole season. That just does not sound like it's in the cards. Because I know if the Yankees won, I would be gloating all the time. So yeah, I don't know. I side with the Braves just slightly, and it's less of just like I don't like the Astros and more that I think the Braves have a huge advantage with the starting pitching. I think the bullpens are very similar, and the Astros have a little bit of an advantage with their hitting. But at the end of the day, I always take pitching over hitters, and I think that this Braves team does well. I think they can take one away here, and then you have the ability to win three straight in Atlanta. So that's the best route for this Braves team
Yeah.
to end up winning it all. We're just gonna have to see if they're able to execute, which is gonna be a big thing. Mill says Braves in 7. Grace to you says Stros in 4. I don't think Stros win in 4. I can safely say that.
Can you say that the Brave or Astros are better than the Braves hitting wise? I don't know. It's kind of, I think it's a fair argument. I will say before the season started, I would vote on the Astros, but with the additions of the guys that are hot right now, Jorge Soler, Ozzy Albies, Freddie Freeman, and Jock Peterson might be like the hottest player that's in the series
No.
in terms of just postseason in general. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like they're both definitely solid, but you could say I don't know. Maybe we'll have to do this. Maybe it's your guys' job to talk MLB on the NBA podcast, like Sean always does. And go
No.
batter for batter, and see if we could find the edge there.
Yeah, I
On
don't.
paper, it probably is the Astros, but I still think that you have to take into like what's how hot everybody's been over the last couple weeks.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's who's hot, right? And I mean, this Braves team, Eddie Rosario's hot right now. Jock Peterson's hot right now, like you said. Freddie Freeman wasn't hot for a really long time, but finally got hot with that home run in game 6, game 7. I don't know. He had a game. He had a home run game somewhere at the end of that series. Like this team is red hot for the Braves. So I mean, maybe it just makes my argument a little bit more that this Braves team at the very least, it should be like plus minus 110, minus 110 for both sides. Like this, there shouldn't be a
Yeah.
favorite in this series, in my opinion, which is why you end up just betting on the underdog because I think it's priced wrong. Um, Let's talk
Agreed.
about MVP because we have MVP odds up for on Bet Online, and Freddie Freeman favorite to win the World Series MVP at plus 700, Yordan Alvarez plus 800, Austin Riley plus 900, Altuve plus 1,000, Correa plus 1,000, Eddie Rosario plus 1,000, and my boy Kyle Tucker at plus 1,200. Um, what do you think here? Who would you pick as your World Series MVP?
Yeah, I'm moving over there right now. I think that the we'll get to the World Series props. That's a really interesting list of props there.
Yeah.
I think that Freddie Freeman has been extremely hot. So if it's anybody, give me a long shot on Ozzy Albies plus 1600.
I like it. I can get behind Ozzy Albies plus 1,600. If you had to give me anyone here, give me Charlie Morton plus 2,500. Because if he has
All
a
right.
game today and he has
Yep.
a game to close it out in game
Sure.
5, I think, and you're in Atlanta and he has two dominant games, I think you almost have to give it to Charlie. So give me Charlie plus 2,500. And with the way he's been pitching and the I don't know if it's a narrative necessarily, but being on this Astros team before, he's experienced in the World Series. He's probably the most experienced guy for the World Series on that Braves team.
Yep.
And yeah, I think that's why I'm gonna lean Morton at the long shot. If you want an actual bet that I feel pretty confident in, I like Altuve at plus 1,000. I think that
Yeah.
he's probably closer to the favorite than you guys realize. And Altuve always has the chance of making those big plays, which is why I feel like plus 1,000 is wrong. What's interesting is they have a Brave as the favorite here to win the MVP, but they don't have the Braves to win the series because
I was just gonna say that.
yeah,
Yep.
usually you get your winner of the series is the team that gets the MVP. I don't know. It feels a little fishy in my opinion.
Yep. You can get some. It's kind of a steal that you can get Altuve at plus 1,000. He should not be there. He should be like more like plus. I think he should be like plus 600 if you were to back what we just said and have the Astros be the favorites there.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's talk about some of these series props because it's all just based on like where are they going to finish, um, or where like how many games, what's the correct series result, what's the correct series score after game four, exact number of games in the series, series spread, and total games in the series. So over under of total games in the series is at 5.5, with the over being wait, that's not right. Someone needs to fix this. I don't know if you've seen this, but the total games in series, the over is at minus 220 and the under is also at minus 220. So I think someone needs to fix this over at Bet Online.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, that's not.
uh,
Those are not the right odds. I'm sure they'll fix it. It's coming here soon. I would assume that the over would be juice and the under would be the underdog play there. And I would imagine you get plus like 180 odds on the under. But talk about the series spread. I think this is interesting. Braves plus 1.5 games at minus 175. And then Astros minus 1.5 games at plus 145. Is there a certain side you would lean there?
Man, if we're just using the price alone here, this is why it makes things really interesting when you look at everything. Because if you were to say the series price versus what this is, I'm taking the Astros in the series spread at this price because I know it's hard because they're going to probably, in this scenario, they'd have to win in Atlanta to be able to pull this off twice, actually. But I still think that if you have a gut feeling that they win 4-2 or something like that, or even more, I don't know. I just feel like this price is definitely a good spot, especially if you think that they're the favorite to win.
Yep, I would tend to agree. Correct series score after game four. Uh, I mean, you can go anywhere here, but like saying the Astros sweep or the Braves sweep obviously give you the best odds. What do you think? Is there a certain lean you have here?
I mean, I think it's a really good option to just take the easiest route and go plus 150 for a tie series. Like that's kind of where I feel this thing's going, and you can get plus money on that, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy you can get plus money on it. And then correct series results. I mean, this is a long shot no matter what you bet, but anything that you feel confident in here.
Uh, you get great odds on this no matter what you pick. So if I had to pick with my gut, I feel like Braves 4-3 is a good route to go. Also, if you want to pick Astros 4-3 or 4-2, those are the favorites, but they're not bad odds. I think that they're
No.
juicy no matter where you go. Plus 400 for the easiest, I guess, chalk answer in Astros 4-3 is still a lot of money.
Yeah, I kind of leave Braves 4-1. You get the third best odds here, and you realize that there's a clear script of winning this. There's the Braves took one from the Astros while the Astros were at home, and then you see them sweep the 3 games in Atlanta. That ends up being Braves 4-1. So I could totally
Okay.
see that happening, and you get plus 650 odds on it. So make sure to go check out Bet Online. Let's see, do they have odds boosters up for this series? They do, and plenty of them. Here, let's go over these odds boosters really quickly. Charlie Morton, over 4.5 strikeouts and Braves to win, was plus
Wow.
193, now plus 250. That's a juicy one right there. Framber Valdez,
Yep.
over 3.5 strikeouts, was minus 167, now even money, plus 100.
That's
And
crazy.
yeah, that is
They're
crazy.
both crazy.
Those are the only two that we have right now. I don't know if we get any more, but definitely two interesting ones, and I think two that you can definitely consider. If you had to lean one prop or the other, which one would you go with?
Again, if you're playing the numbers game, getting plus money on I would much rather just take because Framber's going to give 4 strikeouts tonight, and it would take an implosion to not hit that. So I think that if you're playing the numbers, don't bet the Houston Astros money line in Game One. Just do this odds booster instead at plus money.
Yep, for sure. All right, let's. Is there anything else you want to talk about the World Series? I keep an eye out on social media. I'm sure we're gonna run some sort of promo tonight. But anything else that you want to say before we move on?
No, that was what I was going to mention. Just keep an eye on stuff. It's Sean's team. It's his World Series. So expect something that something is going to happen on social media tonight, in addition to what we're already planning.
Bacon said we're gonna get fired if Sean is watching. I don't think he is, so I think we're all good. Um, and yeah, let's move on. Let's talk about full court press. Let's talk about a little bit of NBA and everything that happened last night. It was a good night for Roto Radar members, but when it came to the NBA, is there anything that jumped off the page for you?
Yeah, a few things actually. First thing being Jason Tatum took his Celtics team on his back yesterday,
Yeah.
and that, I mean, when win in overtime, I knew as soon as the Celtics were going to overtime, I believe they were down 7 with like 2 or 3 minutes to go, and as soon as as soon as they got to overtime, it was over because I don't know. That's just when Jason Tatum takes over games, and I don't think that there's anybody on the Hornets. We raved about the Hornets yesterday on every podcast and every show, so don't take this the wrong way, anybody. But I don't think there is a Jason Tatum clutch guy on this Hornets team right now.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That there isn't that clutch guy quite yet. Maybe that does develop as we go through the season, but definitely not there as of right now. Nets end up winning after losing against the Nets, won 104-90. I thought they looked pretty good in that win. They were blowing them out for most of the game, but things turned around.
Yep.
Pelicans avenged themselves after losing on Saturday to the same Timberwolves team. Ended up winning 107-98. I think that was a good win for the Pelicans. I guess one of the bigger talking points of the slate was the fact that the Clippers ended up blowing out the Trailblazers
Yeah.
116 to
Yep.
86 after just an absolutely dominant first quarter and a super dominant third quarter where they were outscoring the Trailblazers a combined 66 to 37, 36. Yeah, 66 to 36. So almost outscoring this team by 30 points in the third and first. I mean, like I don't think this Clippers team is the real deal this year. I think they are going to struggle without Kawhi. But what are your thoughts on them?
Yeah, they were down Kawhi. They were also down Ibaka and a late scratch from Marcus Morris too. So I'm surprised that this got out of hand as quickly as it did. Paul George played great though, and he had an unbelievable. I think the final number was like 8 steals, and
Yeah.
almost all of them were in the first half too. Dame shot like shit yesterday. He played terribly, and they just couldn't get anything to fall. So yeah, I think that this is, if you were to play this game 10 times, I think this is the only time that it would blow out this way. So usually these two teams play each other very close, and the Paul George versus Damian Lillard saga continues.
Yeah, it was super interesting, man, because like I did like you said, I did not expect this game to blow out. But hey, it was a good win for the Clippers and like you said, Dame doesn't shoot 0 for 8 from 3-point range ever again. Well, I'm not going to say ever again. I say like you said, if you play out this game 10 times, Dame shoots 0 for 8 one of those games, and that's it. Like the other games, he probably lights Reggie Jackson and Eric Bledsoe on fire. So it was a good win by the Clippers, man. Can't take anything away from them, but definitely a product of Damian Lillard shooting really poorly. But I will say CJ McCollum continues to look really good and continues to be the leading usage guy on this Trailblazers team, which is super interesting. It seems like I'm sure things will correct themselves, but at least for right now, there's a new main man in town, and that would be CJ McCollum.
Yep. We didn't see him much last year. Kind of just disappeared. Was dealing with a lot of injuries and COVID and all this stuff. So now that he's back, I think that that's another reason why I think that they're the best backcourt in the league. So, um, yeah, I don't know. Again, you're not going to always see Dame struggle. So I think that they're fine. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not really a Blazers fan, but I certainly back them a lot harder than most people do. So I think that they're fine. It was a weird situation, weird game, and when the shots fall, the shots fall. When they don't, you get blown out. So that's kind of what happens in the NBA here. But let's talk about two more things that I really want to talk about. First, the Cavs biggest upset of the day against the Nuggets. I feel really bad for anybody who bet Nuggets money line probably by like minus 800 and
Yep.
lost that yesterday. So Cavs aren't going to win many games this year, but they somehow snuck up on the Nuggets in Denver. So you want to talk about
You
that?
you say that, man. You say this team isn't going to win many games. Like
Eh,
they trust Evan Mobley, and I keep seeing the talk that they're having around Evan Mobley, saying that this guy is the future of this team. This guy is going to be trusted. He's giving us reasons for him to be trusted to start out the year. I think with Evan Mobley being such a I'm not going to say dominant force. That feels a little bit like a stretch, but being such a force for this team, Darius Garland, when he's fully healthy, he is important to this offense. Ricky Rubio, much better coming off of the bench, and even with a 2-10 performance, still made an impact. Jared Allen, when he gets a chance to dominate, I mean, we saw
yeah,
21
you
and
look good.
16 last night, and then you have Kevin Love coming. If Kevin Love can put up a 20 spot off the bench in 20 minutes, like I don't know, man. I don't think you can count out this Cavs team. I'm not saying they're a playoff team necessarily. Not even saying that they're going to have a winning record, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them win 30 games this year.
All right. Well, if you didn't like that take, you're not going to like this one either.
Uh oh.
The Bulls, Chicago Bulls, 4-0
Jared's favorite
Bulls.
team. Yeah, Jared's
They're
favorite team.
frauds. The
Yeah.
Bulls are frauds.
Look, man, we had this conversation last night. We're just gonna disagree on both of these takes, I guess.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know if I can call this team frauds. I don't think they're as good as their record shows right now, but like I think that this team is going to be solid at the end of the day. I think they're too talented not to be solid, and clearly, the aspect that I thought they were going to struggle with the most was their chemistry. Not a hitch in their chemistry, man. They look great, and DeRozan and Levine are finding their stride side by side. So, 4-0 Bulls. I wonder how many more. I don't know how many teams off the top of my head are still 4-0, but I'm sure it is not a lot. They're actually the only team in the Eastern
yep.
Conference that is 4-0, and no team in the Western Conference has played 4 games yet outside of the Pelicans, who are 1-3. So, going to be
Yep.
interesting. I think Warriors have a chance to clinch that 4-0 spot today. We'll see if they're able to do exactly that. They get to face off against the Oklahoma City Thunder too, so most likely they do end up clinching that 4-0 spot.
Yep, I'm going to stand by my take. They've played the Raptors, the Pistons twice, and the Pelicans, so not really an impressive resume by any means.
No,
And they get to face the Knicks next, and they also go on the stretch of much tougher teams. They
no.
play the Jazz, Celtics, 76ers twice, Nets, the Mavs. They should be able to win that one. But then they play the Warriors, Clippers, Lakers, Blazers, Nuggets. So we'll see very quickly how good this Bulls team is.
All right, Nets are where the first 10 games end for the Bulls. What do you predict their record being once they get done with that Nets game? Because that's the first 10.
Okay. I think that they have enough to beat the Knicks, although I do think that's actually a really good matchup.
It is.
Uh, I think that they could be 5-5. Maybe they're 6-4.
Wow. Yeah, I would lean 6-4 or 7-3. I think they take one from the 76ers. I think they win against the Knicks, and then they just have to win one other one here, which I wouldn't be surprised to see them win against the Nets. The Nets don't seem like a really good team so far, and I see holes in that team right now. And I feel like Patrick Williams is a good defender on Kevin Durant. So I don't know. I could see 7-3 by the end of this 10 game stretch, but I do think they end up losing to the Jazz. I think there's potential to lose to the Celtics, and they definitely lose one of the 76ers games. So, going to be interesting to see what this Bulls team can do throughout the year. All right, technical foul. There's not many technical fouls because we won so much damn money last night with Sean. But any technical fouls that you have that you want to talk about for yesterday's Monday Night Football game or for the NBA slate?
Sorry, I did have one, so just give me a second. But I had to watch because I haven't seen this yet, so I'm watching the Jalen Brown dunk over Miles Bridges.
Oh, I did see this.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all right. That's cool.
Yeah.
Uh, I would have loved to hear the Charlotte announcer's voice on this one, so we'll watch that after I get off the show here. Yikes. All right. So I think let's see. I had this plan this morning, and I don't remember what it is anymore. Um, Oh, here's what it was. The technical foul is more of an NFL thing. So I will just say that any stream or any production of the broadcast that wasn't the Manning cast last night, was the technical foul. Because I imagine how pissed you are as Brian Greasy and Steve Levy uh, in that ESPN booth when you have Peyton Manning and Eli Manning bringing on Marshawn Lynch, Sue Bird, Tom Brady, and who's the fourth one? Drew Brees to close the game out. Like, you can't
What?
compete with that.
Yeah.
So
That's like
I
one
don't
of
know.
those. That's like one of those movies that like they start naming the cast and it's just like star, 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 star. Like it's absolutely ridiculous to see that type of lineup. And yeah, it was. I'm sure it was fun to watch. Sadly, I did not get to watch it, but it's gonna be a blast to watch that Manning show for as long as they allow it to continue. And I'm sure it's gonna be a long time because a lot of people like it. Technical foul for me. I don't really have many technical fouls from last night's slate. Um, yeah, I don't really have anything from last night's slate for NBA wise. Like there was nothing that really jumped out the page to me. Uh, just the fact that Kevin Durant probably didn't hit, or you know what, the technical foul is probably that game blowing out at the end of the night with the Trailblazers and the
Yeah,
Clippers. Like it probably shouldn't have happened. It did happen. You know, that's just variance, and that's gonna happen sometimes. All right, we get to do Josh's Corners recap because we didn't get to do it yesterday. So get to talk a little bit about college football. Get to talk a little bit about the UFC as well. Let's talk about college football first. And I don't know if you were able to watch it, Jared, because I know you were busy doing stuff on Saturday. But did you see the big overtime game this past week?
did. That's the
Yeah,
one thing I did see. And
yeah.
I couldn't even believe what the score was at the end of 9 overtimes.
Yeah, that's probably the most impressive part is that there wasn't that many scores at the end of 9 overtimes. It was absolutely insane to watch that game and see how many overtimes they went to, and what a blast it was for Penn State. We had Penn State's quarterback, so that did not work out well for us. But like I was figuring, like, oh, this is probably the best case scenario because I'm sure he's going to score a ton of touchdowns in OT. They're going to go back and forth, keep firing off against each other, and it did not happen whatsoever. This Penn State team decided not to score barely anything, and the Illinois Fighting Illini ended up winning the game. Fun game to watch there. Anything else jump out at you for this college football slate?
Yeah, I guess we could. This could be the technical foul of the day. Penn State has had a roller coaster over the past or 2 weeks, and now looking forward to next week. They beat Iowa 2 weeks ago in possibly one of the better college football. Or sorry, no, they lost to Iowa, but they kept the game really, really close, and that was probably one of the best Big Ten games we're going to see all year. And then they went in and they lost at home to Illinois for like what, I don't know how long that game was, like 5.5 hours.
Yeah.
And then now they have to go into the shoe and play Ohio State on Saturday night.
Ooh, juicy, especially after Ohio State whooped Indiana this past week. Um,
Yeah,
hey, I'm surprised you didn't lead off with. Well, I haven't really gave you the chance to talk about a game yet, but Wisconsin winning against Purdue. Look at your
yeah,
Badgers. They're
yeah,
they're doing some things. About time.
yeah.
30-13. That was a good win for you guys. Um,
They ran the ball. That's what they did.
yeah, I imagine that. Imagine that working out for a Wisconsin team.
Yep.
Oregon ends up winning against UCLA. That was a really important matchup for the Pac-12. So good to see that.
Yep.
Miami able to right the ship against NC State. That was interesting to see because I expected NC State to take that game and blow it away, but they certainly did not. Miami stuck around and ended up winning it at the end.
Iowa State too over Oklahoma State was probably one of the bigger upsets of the week as well.
Yeah. It was a crazy week in college football. Next week is a crazy week. I think it's the Michigan game next week. So both of those teams highly ranked. It should be a good one without a doubt. All right, talking about a little bit of UFC. We ended up seeing Marvin Vettori win a unanimous decision against Paulo Costa. Did you hear about all the stuff that happened with the weight cut at the end of the day?
Uh, Friday morning I heard it, and then I didn't really hear the rest of it. So fill me in on that.
All right, so here's what happened. We talked about it on Friday morning. We talked about how it was going to be at 195, and that was that. Then we get off the podcast. You ask me because we're talking about making graphics for the UFC card, and I'm like, tell our graphic designer to hold off a little bit. Like I want to see weigh-ins because I want to see if this fight's actually going to happen. Because if one of these guys comes in vastly underweight, then they're just not going to let the fight happen, and that's that. Then I see that Paulo Costa was one of the first guys to weigh in, and he weighed in at 205. And I was like, what is going on here? Like, he should be weighing in at 195, just to find out that while I was sleeping the night before, they agreed to about at 205. So I was wondering, all right, what's Marvin Vittori really going to look like at this weight? He weighed in at 205, and so it was technically like a light heavyweight bout instead of a middleweight bout. And so these two guys went off against each other. Paulo looked really good, in my opinion. This is the first time that we've ever seen him have anything remotely close to a gas tank. And he looked really solid throughout the 5-round fight. There was no point in where I was like, oh, his gas is tailing off. He looked tired, but he never really showed his gas was going away. And then Marvin Vittori just did his Marvin Vittori stuff. He got the takedowns. He took the damage. He has a chin of granite, man. It is absolutely insane to see him take some of these Paulo Costa punches and just not even be phased, not even look dazed, not even get knocked down. It's those Italians, man. Those Italian MMA fighters always have chins of steel, and it's absolutely insane to see. So I don't know if you got to watch the fight. It was a really entertaining main event, but yeah, just give me your thoughts.
I saw some highlights for it. Was doing some other stuff at the time, so did not get to see it. It was a weird time too because the card was early. So
Yeah,
yeah. Anyway, I did see that this thing looked like it was. I mean, it went all the way, right? So like
yeah.
it went two decisions. But I guess, are you surprised it was unanimous?
No, not really. I figured Marvin was going to win. I don't remember the round scoring, but like if it was close, then it was probably solid. If I imagine, well, so the big thing that happened was Paulo Costa got a point taken away because of an eye poke, and he was
Okay.
complaining about it, and Daniel Cormier was complaining about it on Twitter, saying that it shouldn't have gotten taken away. I don't know. Like they said, they warned him. I didn't see the warning, but I'd have to rewatch the fight again to actually make sure. I was kind of busy at that point too, so I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see if we get a. It's gonna be interesting to see the results of this. Like who moves where. Dana White already said that Costa has to move to light heavyweight, so he's not even given the opportunity to come back to middleweight. He's
Yeah.
making him move up to 205, which is a good move in my opinion. He'll fight at 205 and he'll look good there. You can give him a lot of interesting opponents to start out, but a lot of those guys are going to be bigger than him, so it's going to be interesting to see how he matches up against some of the light heavyweights. And then Vittori just puts his name back in the ring for possibly getting a title fight. Probably not this year, probably not next year, but maybe at the beginning of 2023 it could happen. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see the results of this fight. From the rest of the card, there wasn't much else that was interesting, at least for like results wise. We saw that Trinaldo continues to win even through being one of the oldest fighters on the roster. Alex Caceres ended up winning, which was a big underdog win for him. We saw that Isaac Villanueva is one of the worst fighters in the UFC and is probably going to get cut after this recent fight. And yeah, that's probably it. This next week is going to be a very, very good week because not only is it a pay-per-view, it's also a free pay-per-view. So everyone gets to watch it for free as long as you have ESPN Plus, and
Yep.
it's going to be a really good one. We finally get some questions answered about the light heavyweight division. You finally get to find out, is Glover going to be able to be a good contender here? Is Jan really the dominant champion that we think he is? You get to see the result of the bantamweight interim title bout because we know that the guy who has the belt right now isn't going to be fighting for a while due to his surgery. So Peter Yan versus Corey Sandhagen. Sandhagen's deserved this fight for quite a while, whereas Peter Yan should probably be the rightful champion, and we all know it. And then the fight before that, Islam Makachev versus Dan Hooker. Really good fight. There's a lot of beef between these two. Dan Hooker has said multiple times that he doesn't think Makachev is shit, and Islam Makachev has said the same thing. So lots and lots of good fights. You're just going to have to wake up bright and early for this one because prelims start at 9:30 a.m. Central Standard Time.
Yep. So just going back to this last weekend's card, is it? Because I'm looking at Vittori's fights this year. This is his third fight since the middle of April. Is that normal? I feel
Yeah,
like that's really close.
it's more normal in the new UFC where uh there's just more fights every week right now,
Just
right?
after
Like
COVID, yeah,
yeah,
or
just
because of
after
COVID.
COVID. Yeah, because of COVID, we see that there's so many more fights. I mean, like we saw, I think we saw Kevin Holland fight 5 times last year. So like we're seeing fighters
Yeah.
get up to that 5 mark. That's kind of insane. But 3 is about
I mean,
right for a guy who's a contender.
I understand it, and like obviously Vittori's now 2-1 in that span, losing to Adesanya, but I feel like that could do a lot more damage than good in some cases.
Well, especially when you're taking those haymakers from Costa, man. Like you take those big punches from Costa, and you got to figure at some point that it's got to affect something up top in the brain. Um,
Yeah,
and you're supposed to wait like 6 months after you get TKO'd by someone, and the thing is he never gets TKO'd because, like I said, he has a chin of steel. It doesn't matter what you throw at him, he's probably gonna not get knocked out. So going to be interesting to see what happens with his fights coming up and to see who they pair him up with. They probably pair him up with whoever wins the Brunson fight because Brunson's the next big name. He deserves the title shot, but he probably needs one more if he does end up winning his next fight. So that's going to be interesting to see. And then, yeah, I'm excited. UFC looks really good. UFC to end the year is awesome because we just needed to get it through a few bad cards. And now every single UFC fight is going to be absolutely incredible. I just want to say, let me talk about the cards really quickly that are coming up for the UFC. Let me pull them up here on Tapology if it lets me get there. Fight Center, upcoming UFC. So we have UFC 267 with Blachowicz versus Teixeira. We have UFC 268 with Usman versus Covington. We have UFC Fight Night with Holloway versus Yair Rodriguez. We have another UFC Fight Night with Vieira versus Tate. That's probably the worst UFC Fight Night that we have. Then we have Font versus Aldo. We have Oliveira versus Poirier. We have Kyle Lewis versus Dawkins. We have Qatar versus Giga Chikadze, and then the last title fight will be Ngannou versus Gon, which everyone's looking forward to that heavyweight title fight. So lots and lots of great fights to end off the year. All right, that is the end. Well, actually, do we want to do? You have any quick underdog mentality plays from the NBA today?
let's see here. I still think that getting plus money on the Braves is probably better than most NBA bets today.
Yeah.
Um, but let's take a look here. Okay, that's an interesting one right off the bat. And let's see. No. Okay. They have the Christmas games pulled up, by the way, already. Um,
Interesting.
it's October 26th odds and then December 25th odds. So you can bet some Christmas odds if you want to. Um, I'm going to go kind of a smaller slate today. 5 games, at
No.
least from what I've seen, it looks like here.
Yep.
76ers plus 106 is one of the better underdog bets of the day. The only
Yeah.
one that I feel comfortable with, that's for sure.
No, yeah, I can get behind that. I like that one. I don't mind Spurs plus 120. Popovich knows how to stop LeBron, and this Lakers team still does look rough even after they did get their first win. So don't mind plus 120 on the Spurs as well. All right, Jared, we have filled up an hour of content for the people and talked about a ton of things today, whether it be MLB, NBA, NFL, or even some specialty sports with UFC and college football. Do you have any final thoughts before we end up getting out of here?
We'll catch you guys here in about an hour for the DraftKings first look for week 8. And then obviously, NBA podcast a little bit later today with the late start for the 5 game slate.
Yes. So just so you guys know, now that we do podcast 2 hours before every lock, so it won't be at 5 p.m. It'll be at 5:30 p.m. because it's at lock is at 7:30 tonight. Just wanted to clarify that because I know there's been some confusion for that to start out the year, but yeah, it's going to be a good one. All right, let's get out of here, Jared. As always, my name is Joshua Reimer. Good morning and good skill.